If something happened tomorrow, could your children clear out your house without being completely overwhelmed? In Northern Virginia, I see this every day. Beautiful homes in Springfield, Vienna, Annandale, Fairfax, Burke, Alexandria, Falls Church, and McLean that are valuable, meaningful, and full of life, but physically and emotionally hard to leave because they're packed with 40 years of memories. The issue is not just the basement, not just the garage, neither is it just the closets. It is what all of those things represent. It's a lifetime in one place. In this home, children were raised, careers were built, holidays were hosted, and somewhere along the way, every room got a little fuller. Then, one day the family realizes that something has to change. Maybe the stairs are becoming difficult. Maybe the yard is just too much. Maybe assisted living is becoming part of the conversation. Perhaps a spouse has passed away. Maybe the homeowner simply knows that the house no longer fits the life that they're living now. However, the conversation often stops because of one sentence. How could we ever move with all this stuff? I'm Brian Block with Silver Key Transition Services. I've been a realtor in Northern Virginia since 2002, a managing broker since 2009, and I have supervised more than 200 agents throughout my career. I also look at these situations through the eyes of a former real estate attorney, meaning I tend to spot the paperwork, authority, timing, and family decision issues before they become expensive problems. However, this is not just professional for me. I have also dealt with this in my own family. And once you've personally sorted through a family home, coordinated with an auction company, supervised many parts of that process, and then dealt with junk removal afterwards, you never look at stuff the same way again. This is not just clutter. This is transition. And if you handle it in the wrong order, you can make an already emotional situation much, much harder. We know the home probably needs to be sold eventually, but we cannot even get to that conversation because of everything inside of it. Yes, the market value of the home matters. Home preparation matters a lot. And at some point, we may need to talk about selling the home. Now, before any of that, the family needs a plan. That is where Silver Key comes in. Our services are designed to help older adults and their families make sense of the next chapter when the house, the belongings, the emotions, and the logistics all feel tangled together. Sometimes I'm helping the family think through whether the home should be sold as is or prepared for the market. Other times I'm helping them understand what an auction company might have to handle. Sometimes I'm helping coordinate with junk removal, cleaners, contractors, or organizers. Often I'm helping adult children slow down and understand why their parent is resisting this. I understand this personally. When my own mother-in-law's house needed to be dealt with, there was no magical solution. It took multiple trips. I spent time there myself before bringing in outside help. I went through closets, drawers, boxes, furniture, paperwork, and many items that had not been touched in years. That early stage of the process matters because before you bring in an auction company, before you call junk removal, before you think about listing the house, someone has to start identifying what matters. What should stay in the family? What documents need to be saved? What might have financial value? What can be donated? What simply needs to go? Those decisions are not always obvious. You might find an item and wonder whether it matters to someone else in the family. You see furniture that may have emotional value, but maybe not much market value. And you realize that one box can take an hour because it is not just a box. Eventually, in our case, we brought in an auction company. I helped coordinate and supervise that process. And then after the auction phase, there were still items left behind, which is very common. Auction companies do not usually make the entire house just disappear, but there's almost always a next step. For us, that meant coordinating junk removal afterwards. Going through that personally gave me a deeper respect for what families experience. When you're the professional, you understand the steps. When it's your own family, you understand the emotional weight, why people delay, why people get overwhelmed. And you understand why just throw it away can feel cold, even when something really does need to go. That experience is a big part of how I approach Silver Key. I'm practical, but I'm not dismissive. The goal is to move forward, but to do it with dignity. Here is the local reality. In Northern Virginia, many longtime homeowners bought their homes decades ago in places like Springfield, Burke, Annandale, Fairfax, Vienna, Alexandria, Falls Church, Arlington, or McLean. They may have purchased when prices were dramatically lower than they are today. Now, the home may be one of, if not their largest financial asset. If the house is packed, that equity can feel trapped. The home may be valuable, but the owner may need a safer, simpler, more manageable living situation. The rest of the family may know that a move would make sense. However, the contents of the house are holding the decision hostage. It's not just an emotional burden. In our local market here in Northern Virginia, it can become a financial one too. A house that cannot be accessed, photographed, shown, evaluated, repaired, or prepared properly may not reach its full potential. A family delaying for years because of the contents of the house may lose time, energy, safety, and options. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone should rush to sell, but it does mean that the stuff needs to be treated as part of the transition plan. The biggest mistake families make is trying to solve the whole house all at once. We have to clear all of this. That thought is paralyzing. Then one of two things usually happens. Either nothing happens for years, or someone gets aggressive and starts pushing too hard. That second option can backfire quickly. If an adult child walks into a parent's house and starts saying, "This is junk, nobody wants this, we need to throw this away," the parent may shut down immediately. Even if that adult child is right about some of the items, this approach is wrong. The parent does not hear, "I am trying to help." They hear, "My life is being judged." The goal is not to win an argument about old furniture. The goal is to help the family move forward. That requires structure, patience, and the right sequence. Here's the order that I generally recommend. Step 1. Preserve what matters. Before auction, before donation, before junk removal, and before preparing the home for sale, identify what must be preserved. Things like family photos, letters, legal documents, family history, items specifically promised to someone. This step is very important because once these items are gone, they may be gone forever. Step 2, clarify who is involved. Who is making decisions? Is the homeowner making decisions? Are adult children involved? Is there a power of attorney? Is there an executor or trustee? Are the siblings aligned? This is where my former attorney lens matters. I'm not just looking at the physical house, I'm also thinking about authority, paperwork, consent, and timing. Families sometimes skip this part because they're focused on the stuff. But if the wrong person is making decisions, or if key family members are left out, the process can become much more complicated later. Step 3, get professional eyes on potential value. This is where an auction company, estate sale company, appraiser, or specialist might be appropriate. Not everything has value. In fact, many families overestimate the value of furniture, china, formal dining sets, and collectibles. That's not meant to be harsh, it's just today's market reality. Now, there are some items that absolutely may have value. Artwork, jewelry, coins, certain collectibles, specialty items. But the point is not to guess. The point is to get the right professional involved before decisions are made. Step 4, decide what can be sold, donated, or given away. After family items are protected and potentially valuable items are evaluated, then you can make better decisions about what happens next to the stuff in the Northern Virginia home. Some items may go to family. Some may go to auction or estate sale. Some may be donated. Other items may be given away locally. And then there's things that just simply need to be removed. Step 5, use junk removal for what remains. Junk removal can be incredibly helpful. I've used and coordinated with junk removal companies in Northern Virginia many times. I usually do not want that to be the first call unless there's a safety emergency. Junk removal is best after you have protected family items, evaluated potential value, and considered donation options. That sequence helps to prevent regret. Step 6, prepare the house according to the actual goal. If the home is going to be sold, now we move from family transition mode to real estate strategy. Does the home need a deep cleaning, paint, carpet removal, lighting updates, landscaping, minor repairs, or should it be sold as is? Now, this answer depends on the property, the condition, the family's timeline, and the likely buyer. A dated McLean home on a strong lot may be viewed very differently than a Burke colonial with good space and strong family appeal. The mistake is making these decisions randomly. Preparation should support the goal. A move to assisted living or independent living adds another layer. Now the family is not just clearing out a house. They're helping someone move from a full home into a much smaller space. That's a major physical and emotional adjustment. You cannot move a whole house into one apartment. The goal is not to preserve everything. The goal is to preserve familiarity, dignity, comfort, and safety. It might mean a favorite chair or sofa, family photos, a familiar lamp, a few meaningful pieces of art, favorite blanket, clothing that actually fits the new lifestyle. Too little can feel sterile, and too much can create clutter and fall risks. I've seen families struggle here because they're trying to bring the whole house into the new space emotionally, even when it cannot fit physically. This is where a senior move manager, organizer, or experienced transition professional can make a tremendous difference. Here is one of the hardest parts. Many parents assume that their children want more of the household contents than they actually do. Often, they do not. They may not want the china cabinet. They might not want the formal dining room set. They probably do not want the bookshelves or many of the collectibles. Now that can hurt, but it is usually not a rejection of the parent. It's just a reflection of how the adult children live today. So ask early, what do you actually want? What would you use? And what would be meaningful? Sometimes the answer is not the biggest item. It could be a photograph, a recipe, a piece of jewelry, a watch, a painting, a handwritten note, or one small item with a story attached. We also need to be honest about safety. A full Northern Virginia house is one thing. A hazardous Northern Virginia house is another. If the exits are blocked, pathways are narrow, stairs are cluttered, rooms cannot be used, or there are fire, sanitation, or fall risks, this conversation changes immensely. At that point, it's not just about preparing for a future home sale. It may be about protecting the person who's living there right now. And if the situation involves true hoarding behavior, shame and surprise cleanouts usually do not solve the deeper issue. The family may need more specialized help. This could include organizers experienced with hoarding, social workers, medical professionals, maybe mental health support or other senior care resources. Silver Key can help coordinate parts of the practical transition, but part of experience is knowing when the situation requires additional help. Let's talk about the selling side. In Northern Virginia, buyers often make judgments very quickly. Before they ever walk through the door, they're looking at photos online. If a house is dark, crowded, packed, or hard to photograph, it can certainly affect buyer perception. When Northern Virginia buyers walk in and cannot see the floor plan, cannot understand the room sizes, smell mustiness, see boxes everywhere, or worry about deferred maintenance, they may discount the property in their minds. Sometimes the home is better than it feels, but the contents are blocking the buyer from seeing it. That doesn't mean that every older home needs to be renovated, and it doesn't mean families should spend money blindly. It means that the cleanout and the market strategy should be coordinated and connected. For some homes, the best approach is clear, clean, and sell as is. For others, it may be smart to paint, remove old carpet, improve the lighting, clean deeply, and handle some basic landscaping. For a builder-targeted property, major cosmetic work may be unnecessary because they're going to tear it down and renovate it anyways. For a family-targeted property, presentation may matter a lot. This is where my Northern Virginia real estate experience comes in. I'm not just thinking, how do we empty out the house? I'm thinking, what is the best transition plan for this family, this property, and this market? The value of Silver Key is not that I personally carry out every box. The value is helping families understand the whole process. What should happen first? Who needs to be involved? What should be preserved? When should an auction company come in? When does junk removal make sense? What preparation is worthwhile? And what's the cleanest path from overwhelm to decision? If you are facing this situation right now, do not start with the whole house. Start smaller. Pick one manageable area, not the most emotional room, not the spouse's closet, not 40 years of photographs. Start with a linen closet, a pantry, maybe a small storage area. Then create a basic family process. Identify what must be preserved. Ask what family members actually want. Get professional advice on items that may have value. Set reasonable deadlines. Then move to donation, removal, and home preparation. The sooner you create a plan, the less likely the family is to be forced into crisis mode later. If you are in Northern Virginia and this sounds familiar, you do not have to wait until everything is figured out before reaching out. In fact, that's usually too late. You can call me before you know whether you're selling or not. You can call me before the house is cleaned out. You can call me before the family agrees on every detail. Sometimes the first conversation is simply, Brian, we are overwhelmed. What should we do first? A house full of 40 years of stuff can feel impossible. But I'm telling you, it's not impossible. It just needs to be handled in the right order, with the right help, and with respect for what the house represents. I've seen families move parents into assisted living. I've helped with estate situations. I've dealt with this in my own family. And what I have learned is that the families who do best are not the ones who have everything figured out from the beginning. They're the ones willing to take the next right step. One room, one conversation, one plan. If you or someone you love is dealing with this in Northern Virginia, reach out. I'm Brian Block with Silver Key Transition Services. I help older adults and their families with downsizing, aging in place decisions, assisted living transitions, estate situations, home preparation, and of course, real estate decisions. You can call or text me at 703-626-0715. And remember, you do not have to be ready to sell yet. Sometimes the first conversation is simply, Brian, we have 40 years of stuff and we need help figuring out what comes next. That is exactly what Silver Key is here for. The goal is not just to empty a house. The goal is to honor a life, protect a family, and make the next chapter possible.